Hello and welcome. This is the Truth Report. Here are today's top stories. 25 Christians held for months in what survivors call a modern-day torture camp have been freed. All hear accounts of rape, beatings and killings in their own words. Next, Nigeria's military says it has rescued 60 hostages in a daring raid on terrorist camps, among them a senior government official and the brother of a renowned Catholic bishop. And in central Nigeria, entire communities are fleeing after a new wave of deadly attacks on Christian villages, despite promises from the country's president to restore peace. We'll take you to Plateau State for a closer look at what's driving this violence. It is a story that echoes some of the darkest chapters in human history. In northwest Nigeria, 25 Christian hostages, including a 4-month-old baby, have been freed from what survivors describe as a modern-day Auschwitz. Held for over 4 months by Fulani militants, the victims endured starvation, beatings, sexual abuse, and witnessed brutal executions. Some spoke exclusively with our reporter Mike James about what they lived through.
Rijana camp, deep in the bushland of Kaduna State, has been described by survivors as hell on earth. Run by Fulani extremists, the site has been used to detain and torture Christians abducted from farming communities across Nigeria's Middle Belt. On the 2nd of December 2024, 25 Christians were taken from Bandi village in Kauru County. Among them were teenage girls, elderly women, and a newborn baby just days old. Survivors say they were locked in makeshift cages, beaten daily and fed just enough to stay alive. Today, their bodies bear the evidence, emaciated, covered in rashes, open wounds, and trauma that runs deeper.
As a 21-year-old guy was killed that night and his assault. So when they killed him, then they kidnapped her and went with her. She also spent up to 4 months there with some weeks before they now released.
Abigail Michael had just turned 15 when she was abducted. She survived but carries permanent emotional scars.
Wani lokaci muka yi sati biyu ba mu ci abinci ba, kamun a kawo mana gari kuma za a kawo mana gari a kawo mana ba tankade ba miya haka kuma ba gishiri. Ga yara kuma sun tashi mana duka su duke mu su hana mu kuka. An kashe mana mutane 3. Ga shi mun rasa karamar yarinya. Sun tashi su hudu kenan.
Mary, another survivor, watched 3 of her relatives executed before her eyes.
Su ba ma abinci ba, in sun ji tausayin mu su ba mu, za su ba mu abinci da zagi suke mana, suke kiran mu arna, mutanen banza, suke zagin mu. Me kun kawo mana? In za mu yi addu'a suna zagin mu, sai dai mu buya muna addu'a, muna yin addu'a cikin zuci. Mu tashi ma, za mu tashi garin Allah bai gama waye ba sai su tashe mu. Mu zauna, za mu ci gaba da zaman nan, suna bikin mu da bindigogi. In ka tashi za ka nema abin da za ka ci, duk lokacin ba abinci mukan dan je mu sinki mangoro, danyen mangoro shine za mu zo mu dafa, mu siya ruwan mu sai mu yi.
And while Hadiza is now free, her 3 sisters remain captive, part of an estimated over 500 Christians still held in Rijana camp.
Rayu ne suka zo suka same mu a ɗaki da daddare, suka zo suka kwashe mu 7 a gidanmu, da ni da surkaina da 'ya'yana duka. Yanzu da guda 2 suna can. Guda 2 an kai kuɗi sun ce ba za su bayar ba sai an ba su miliyan 17 sannan suka sako su suna can adabu. Yanzu sun sako mu 5.
Despite mounting testimonies and international concerns, the Nigerian government has taken no visible action to dismantle the Rijana camp or rescue those inside. The silence raises troubling questions about the complicity, neglect, or both. Mike James, reporting for Truth Nigeria TV, Kaduna.
In a major security development, the Nigerian military has rescued 60 hostages, including a senior government official and the brother of prominent Catholic Bishop Matthew Kukah. The country's national security advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, oversaw the handover of the victims to their families and issued a stern warning against paying ransoms, saying it only fuels more abduction. The rescue took place in Kaduna State and Abuja and was led by Nigerian army troops with support from intelligence and security agencies. The freed hostages include 35 men and 25 women. The Nigerian military says the victims had been held in remote areas across multiple local government districts and during months in captivity.
We will continue. We will go after these people, those bad people who are responsible for this type of horrible, horrible criminal activities. Releasing them is not the end of the story. We will make sure that justice is done. Anybody who is involved will never see peace with him or with those who we decided to work with. We are going to continue. But I want to also use the opportunity to talk to our people. Please stop giving money to these people. It's one of the worst things that is happening. It's the most difficult thing we have faced. Many of these people, as you see them, their families are giving money to these people. But it did not lead to their own release. No, it is we, the security forces, that have got them out. It's not the money that they are giving. These people, the more you give, the more you are compounding the problems for us. We have never given anybody a dime. We don't. And we don't want people to do so. Please stop it. Inadvertently, may be helping this thing. And we are saying enough is enough. We will not be able to stop this thing quickly if people continue to give them money. I want to make a very strong appeal to all. It's understandable. When someone of yours is in captivity, you will do whatever it takes for you to get him back. But this is counterproductive. It's actually encouraging for it to continue. The whole essence is to get money. And if you continue to give them, you are actually saying go and do more and more. We are appealing to our people, to the country, to everybody, that please, let's stop giving this money. Give us a chance for us to do the work. We will get it done.
And thousands of Christians have fled their homes following a wave of terror attacks in Plateau State, Nigeria, triggering urgent calls for U.S. intervention. President Bola Tinubu has condemned the violence in Bokos County and vowed to bring the attackers to justice. But days later, more than 1,000 survivors remain displaced, living in fear as the threats continue. Master Akim now reports.
As of April the 7th, more than 50 people have been killed in just 10 days across farming villages south of Jos, the state capital, according to tribal leaders. Governor Caleb Mutfwang has described the attacks as genocidal and called for self-defense amid accusations of military inaction. On April the 2nd alone, more than 40 people lost their lives during terror raids on 5 villages located 50 to 60 miles south of Jos.
We had gunshot everywhere in this community. Then destroy our community, 4 communities, and destroy our houses, collecting all the goods that are inside the commodity that are inside the houses, then destroy it.
The attacks concentrated in the western part of Bokos have forced thousands to flee to safer areas.
Those that run to Shah or Mangunanya, close to our community, or Daho, they can reach at least 1,000 people.
Truth Nigeria witnessed hundreds of escapees jumping into trucks and being evacuated by soldiers. The violence erupted the morning of April the 2nd in an area called Mangor and quickly spread to 5 neighboring villages by day's end.
We're still going on for assessment. People are in the hospital, and I think that is what I can say for now.
The latest attacks have heightened concerns for the safety of Christian residents and caused town leaders to call for U.S. intervention. In Jos, Masara Kim, Truth Nigeria TV.
Still ahead, the Nigerian military claims it is making progress killing top terror commanders and arresting arms traffickers, but critics say the threat is far from over. Well, here's a quick look at today's top stories. Christian survivors describe months of starvation and torture in what they call a modern-day death camp. In northwest Nigeria, 60 hostages are now free after a daring military raid. Officials say ransom payments are only fueling the crisis. And in Plateau State, more than 1,000 people are displaced after a wave of deadly attacks. Nigeria's president is promising justice, but survivors say they're still waiting for safety. For more exclusive survivor testimonies and in-depth coverage on religious freedom and security in Nigeria, subscribe to Truth Nigeria TV on YouTube and don't forget to visit truthnigeria.com for breaking news and urgent security alerts. As Nigeria faces a surge in terror attacks, abductions and violent crimes, its military is striking back. In a series of coordinated nationwide operations, troops have eliminated several top terrorist commanders and dozens of fighters. Well, more details on the military's renewed efforts to restore order in this next report. The Nigerian military says it has launched an aggressive counter-terror campaign, killing 4 high-ranking terrorist commanders and capturing a wanted leader identified as Abdullahi Ali. Major General Marcus Kangye, head of Defense Mid Operations, says the operations conducted from January through March involved hybrid forces and multiple security agencies. Several gun runners and logistics suppliers were also arrested.
The troops demonstrated uncommon bravery, resilience, determination, and strong will during various encounters throughout the quarter, which include fighting and confident building patrols, raids, ambushes, and clearance, as well as search and rescue operations with remarkable outcomes. Between 27th to 31st March, they acted on a tip-off and arrested 5 suspected criminals and gun runners identified as Shuaib Maji in the Kina local government area of Kogi State, and Ovia East and Kayama local government area of Edo and Kwara State, respectively.
Despite continued threats in northern and central Nigeria, Kanye says terror groups are losing ground. Combined air and ground offensives are dismantling insurgent networks and preventing further destabilization.
Many terrorist commanders such as Abba Alai, also known as Amir Khalid of Allaha, Abdullahi, always known as Hono, Jagaban, and Danger, amongst others, were neutralized, while Abdullahi Ali was captured alive with severe gun wounds. This effort by our gallant troops created gaps in the command and leadership structure of the Boko Haram terrorists as well as ISWAP and JAS terrorists. Some high-value terrorists that were eliminated during the quarter. I've mentioned their names. So as for Bello Turji, just a time will come, an appointment will be fixed with him with his maker.
The military also responded to criticism over the treatment of wounded troops. General Kangye insisted injured soldiers are receiving the care and support they need.
The services headquarters, the Armed Forces of Nigeria, is taking good care of the sick and wounded. Some of them that require a medical evacuation abroad are taken abroad for medical treatment. Some went to Egypt, some went to Turkey, I remember, some were in India. And as we speak, some are still there receiving medical attention by the services, taken care of by the services. Houses were issued to some of our wounded in action that the military felt may not be able to, work again and get these houses. The houses were distributed today. I was there.
As the government intensifies its campaign to secure the country, many Nigerians remain hopeful these gains will bring lasting peace. In central Nigeria's Plateau State, demonstrators took to the streets demanding the repeal of a controversial cybercrime law they say is being used to silence government critics. Protesters say the law criminalizes dissent and stifles free expression in a country already battling violent extremism and rising terror attacks. Advocates say freedom of speech is essential to preserving Nigeria's democracy, especially in the face of government inaction following brutal attacks in Bokus County.
Should the government of Tinubu not immediately accede to our demands? Number one, repeal the Cybercrime Act of 2024. Yes. End the military rule in Rivers State.
And we are stating clearly that number one, the Cybercrime Act needs to be repealed. Freedom of speech cannot be debated. It is the right of human beings to have freedom of speech. And then for a government that was elected by the people have rights to talk. No government should stop the people from talking.
We're having a national protest on the repealing of the Cybercrime Act that has been abused by politicians because they no longer use this act is now used to witch hunt ordinary citizens. If you talk, say your opinion, they'll pick you. If you say anything bad against the government, they'll pick you. So how do you want the government? How do they want to improve? They don't want criticism. So we are calling for the repealing of the Cyber Act crime because it has been weaponized.
We are all out here to let the voice of the people be heard. Those who are at home who are afraid of coming out because there's insecurity and with police who arrest, and we're just telling you to know that we are all for humanity and we have to make some sacrifice for humanity to save. It's not about political party, religion, ethnicity, or any other. That is one of my concerns. Why is he out here?
Now to Rivers State, a political showdown in one of Nigeria's top oil-producing regions has triggered a wave of militant violence disrupting crude oil production and sparking international concern. Armed groups in Rivers State have bombed key oil pipelines, demanding the reinstatement of the suspended state governor. The attacks are the latest fallout from a power struggle with national implications. Truth Nigeria TV's Ebere Inyama has more details.
In the heart of Nigeria's oil-producing Niger Delta, violence is escalating. Onshore oil facilities are under attack. Just hours after the Nigeria's president declared a state of emergency in Rivers State and suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara. One of the worst attacks targeted the Trans-Niger Pipeline, a major artery that transports up to 150,000 barrels of crude daily to the Boni export terminal. The blast occurred near Bodo, a small community along a critical infrastructure route under construction by German contractor Julius Berger. The militants behind the attack say their fight is political. They are demanding the reinstatement of Governor Fubara, who was removed amid a power struggle with his predecessor, now a key ally of the president. Legal experts like attorney Philip Ibekwe says the president's move to suspend an elected governor may be unconstitutional.
The president has a constitutional power by section 305 of the constitution to declare state of emergency, but I don't think that extends to suspending a democratically elected structure like the National State Assembly, the governor, or any other democratically elected president. That section did not give the governor the president any such powers. And don't forget that the state governor, he had the military. Assuming if you are trying to free the governor out of the place and resist it, that means you have to get the police to arrest him. So that the president has the right, the constitutional right to declare state of emergency, does not give him the same right to remove democratic structure at all.
Anger is already spilling into the streets. Protesters with the Take It Back movement defied police orders and marched through major cities like Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt. In the River State capital, police used tear gas and batons on demonstrators at Isaac Borough Park. The unrest has drawn in women-led groups too. In Okirika County, hundreds of women took to the streets demanding justice and the governor's reinstatement. With pipelines sabotaged, political protests growing, and courts now involved, the crisis in River State is far from over, and international oil companies are watching closely. Some are now shifting operations offshore to avoid the turmoil on land.
For more stories like these, be sure to visit us at truthnigeria.com, and don't forget to subscribe to Truth Nigeria TV on YouTube for in-depth reports, exclusive interviews, and updates you won't see anywhere else. Well, thanks for watching. I am Mary Kanu. See you next time.